Hey guys, I'm Ubiru and welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're looking at the Gremyashchiy Tier 5 Russian destroyer. Now, there are only 3 Russian ships in the game at the moment, since there is no run-of-the-mill tier line as with the Japanese and the Americans. There are these 2 ships here, the Aurora and the Murmansk. The Murmansk is a carbon copy of the USS Omaha, and the Aurora is a very similar ship to the St. Louis. Now, the Gremyashchiy was released on the store the other day. I did the USS Sims review, and this was one of the ships also released alongside the USS Sims. Now, this is a Tier 5 destroyer, and funnily enough, despite it being a Tier 5 and the USS Sims being a Tier 7, there isn't a huge amount of difference between these 2 ships. Yes, the USS Sims is more of a DPM ship. It fires more rounds per minute and it's more focused on guns as opposed to torpedoes, but the statistics are very, very similar. The Gremyashchiy isn't focused so much on firepower, however. It does have a really good score of 25. The guns are pretty good for a destroyer. They're probably better than average, but I'd say the torpedoes are probably the major factor of this ship. It has a good DPM. It says here 12 rounds per minute for the main guns. The USS Sims has 13.5 rounds per minute, so 12 rounds per minute is good, and it does around the same sort of damage. They are the same caliber guns, up to 1,000 damage on HE and up to nearly 3,000 damage on AP rounds, so pretty good. Let's start with the survivability of the ship. So destroyers are weak as hell. 99% of the time they have nothing going for them in terms of health and armor. This one, however, has a massive amount of health for its tier. Tier 5, you would expect to have, for a typical destroyer, to have around 10,000 health. Probably around, 9,000, 10,000 health when you're upgraded. This one, a premium ship, has 13,100 health, which is a very, very high amount of health for this tier. Now, this does help because it has indeed got paper armor of only 6 to 13 millimeters. Typical with all destroyers, they will have very, very little amounts of armor. So in this ship, you have an advantage over other destroyers of the same tier because of that huge health advantage. Now, the second stat is the artillery, which is 25 out of 100, which for a destroyer is fantastic. Not quite as good as the Sims in terms of DPM, but nonetheless, it is really good. 12 rounds per minute. So it can really fire very fast, with a max damage on HE as 1,100 and max damage on AP rounds as 2,800. The problem with these guns, though, in comparison to the Sims guns turn very fast, left and right. It's very, very short time. I think it's only 5 seconds for a full turn. These ones, however, very typical of a destroyer of this tier, has a very, very sluggish turn time of 36 seconds for 180 degrees. So that is a big problem with this ship, in my opinion. But when you do get the guns on an enemy, it does work. I noticed the turning time of this ship. Let's say you were to turn full left as a typical maneuver. Your guns would keep up probably 1 degree ahead of the turning time. So you have that very slight advantage in terms of turning guns and maneuvering the ship at the same time. So artillery is pretty good. Torpedoes. Now, torpedoes are very good for this ship. Now, this is a Russian ship. We don't really know the flavor of Russian ships at the moment because they haven't been fluidly released into the game other than premium ships. We know Japanese are very focused on sort of long range, sort of average speed, high damaging torpedoes. The Americans are very short range, fast torpedoes. It seems from this ship that the Soviet ships are very focused on middle ground between both the Japanese and the Americans. So it says here we have 14,000 damage per torpedo, which is pretty good. It's actually very, very good for a tier 5. Exceptionally good. Reload time is 69 seconds for one tube. Has a turn time of 7.2 seconds, so they can turn around pretty quickly. Sort of similar to the USS Sims. Max damage, I've already mentioned. Speed, 55 knots, quite slow, but quite fast at this tier. And, of course, the torpedoes have a mixed range between American and Japanese, so 8 kilometers, which is very, very good at tier 5. So this ship has a lot going for it just in those 3 stats. So the 4th stat of the ship is the anti-air capability. Very, very similar to the USS Sims. I recommend you turn off the anti-air firepower immediately at the start of battle by pressing the P button. It's 8 out of 100. It's not going to shoot down any planes from any tier. It's completely pointless. You want to hide in this ship, you want to remain hidden. Best thing is to just disable anti-air. It's just completely a waste of time in this ship and the USS Sims. That's the first thing I recommend at the point of battle. Now this is a very important part of destroyers as a whole and this particular ship. So maneuverability, 90 out of 100. Fantastic score for this tier. It's only a tier 5 ship. 90 out of 100 is really good for a destroyer anyway. So 90 is amazing. So we have 38 knots max speed. That is nearing the edge of the fastest ships in the game. Fastest being a 40. I think it is the Japanese tier 10 ship that can go 40 knots. The USS Sims is very close to that, 39.5. So a fantastic speed. The turning circle radius, 630 meters. Now the tier 7 USS Sims is only as 500 meters. So turning circle radius of this is amazing considering it's only a tier 5 in respect of it being a premium ship. And premium ships from all wargaming games tend to be slightly worse in every respect to the equivalent. And a rudder shift time of 3.5 seconds. Now that is the same as the USS Sims. That is the fastest shift time in the game. That is insane. You can move this thing left and right incredibly quickly, avoid all kinds of shells from every type of angle. Maneuverability is your best ally in this ship. And the final score is Concealment. 89 out of 100, so we have surface detectability range of 7 kilometers. Now that is really good. That's any ship that gets within 7 kilometers of this ship, and then you get spotted. And the air detectability range of 3.6 kilometers, which is also very, very good. Of course, sort of tier 5, 4 and 3 games, you're not going to see an awful lot of planes other than scout planes, but 3.6 kilometers is really good. So artillery, I didn't mention this, but the max range of these guns is 11.9 kilometers. 11.9 kilometers is again very, very good for this tier. Mizuki at tier 6, the Japanese Mizuki destroyer, has a max distance on guns of only 7.6 kilometers. So the Gremyashchiy, 12 kilometers max firing range. It's very similar to the USS Sims. This thing can fire on the move at distance, and if any ships get within sort of 8 kilometers, you fire your torpedoes and very quickly drop the enemy. So let's look at the modules. Same as the USS Sims and the all premium ships of wargaming games, you can't actually upgrade any of the modules. They're all base, and they all, for this particular ship, it seems like wargaming have turned the tables slightly, because usually wargaming would make premium ships slightly worse in a lot of respects than the tier equivalent. But this ship, again, is a very, very, very competent ship, more competent than the Japanese equivalent, and even more competent than the American equivalent. It has very, very good DPM if you get the guns round in time, high amount of health, amazing sort of 12 kilometer max distance on firing the guns, 8 kilometers on the torpedoes, and a maximum speed of 38 knots. This is the whole package, in my opinion, for a decent destroyer in this game. The USS Sims is a better ship than this one, but this ship is a fantastic ship nonetheless, and probably a better ship than USS Sims in terms of tier for tier power. Now to look at the credit ball upgrades of the ship. The first one I've chosen here is the Torpedo Tube Modification 1, which is a decreased chance in critical damage on my torpedo tubes. On this one I only have 2, and they're in the middle, so I have 6 torpedoes at my disposal, which is pretty good, and I don't really want either of these knocked out. If I have either of these knocked out, and if any ships come within close proximity of me and I don't have my torpedo tubes up, then that is going to be a serious problem. Now the second mod I've chosen is the Gunfire Control System Modification 1, which is increased accuracy on main guns. Now 11.9 kilometers max distance on guns is fantastic for this tier, and I want to utilize that as best as possible. We have 4 single-barreled guns on this ship, and increased accuracy is always better. So I've chosen this one because of it's just generally a fantastic upgrade for most ships in the game, and probably the most useful in the closed beta. And the third one I've chosen is the defense one I always choose on my ships, which is the minus chance of flooding and minus chance of fire. Everyone will fire high explosive at this ship, or AP, it doesn't really matter. This ship has no armor, so it will very easily be penetrated and it will very easily be destroyed if it gets anywhere near sort of big ships, anywhere from the cruisers, the battleships of sort of tier 5. You want to keep as far away as you can. This ship is, because of its incredibly high concealment value, I liked using this ship to sort of play hide and seek. You notice the concealment is 7 kilometers distance, max range for you to be spotted, 7 kilometers, and your torpedoes go at max range of 8 kilometers. So you can use that at your disposal. You can go sort of 7.5 kilometers away from an enemy. Hopefully you're not getting spotted by planes. You will be invisible to the enemy. They won't be able to see you. You use your torpedoes where they least expect you'll be. Granted, the torpedoes are quite slow, but you could very easily kill a few ships with just using your concealment effectively. Yeah, so let's get into some games. Okay, here we are. This is the Gremyashchiy, tier 5 Russian destroyer. And we are on a tier 7 match on New Dawn. Now, I did mention that with closed beta, a lot of people are playing the high tiers, so you don't actually get your preferential matchmaking bonus in closed beta. So this is a new map. I believe it was an alpha, this map, and it's now been sort of renovated and released again on closed beta. So we are against quite a lot of enemy sort of Pensacola's, Rangers, Nagatos, some very, very good, competent ships. So I have to be very careful what I go and what I do. So I'm going to follow this Sims. I should be able to keep up with the Sims because we are very similar sort of max speed. Both cap off at around 38 or 39 knots. And we're probably going to head towards C. We have a very large advantage in terms of concealment. They can't actually spot us unless they're sort of 7 kilometers away. We can actually go sort of within 8 kilometers range of the enemy and fire our torpedoes, and they won't be able to see us unless, of course, they have planes overhead spotting us, of which I have to be very careful of. So it's a typical destroyer. You have the smoke ability at the bottom with a T button. You have a repair, as with every ship in the game. And of course you have torpedoes with 2 different lines of fire, close and far. Now I am now within range of firing my main guns, and I will do so with AP onto this Myogi class cruiser, and use my speed and agility to my advantage here. So we did just hit him for 3, hit him for 2,700, which is a really, really good score. The Megami cruiser isn't very well armoured in comparison to some of the American equivalents, but it's still good armoured nonetheless. Now the Pensacola has no armour, so the penetration of these guns should penetrate and do 4 damage if they, of course, hit. 1,400 damage, pretty good. The incredible manoeuvrability of this ship, we can of course evade almost all shots coming towards us. Now he's starting to cap, we are taking fire from all kinds of angles, we have taken a couple of hits there. We are going to quickly lead the shots, so we're going to keep moving, probably pop the smoke so the other cruisers don't fire on us. Disable the anti-air with P so we don't get spotted if a plane goes overhead, and continue firing on this Pensacola. Now the USS Sims next to me has a huge advantage in terms of fire on this guy. We just did 6,000 damage, 2 Citadel hits. Are we going to get him? We're going to get him? Yes! Okay, we got a Pensacola tier 7 ship in a tier 5 Gremyashchiy destroyer. So 1 ship down, a lot more to go. The ship is the match is fairly sort of even. We have the same amount of ships, same amount of tiers. I am, however, the only tier 5, and I am the only one with a kill. So that pretty much shows you how powerful the Gremyashchiy can be. Yes, the guns don't turn too fast, but when you get the guns round and you do Citadel hits on the enemy, you firing at the right targets with the right ammunition, you can do some serious damage. And of course, if you utilise your torpedoes properly. So now we're going to focus on this Nagato tier 7 battleship. And the Nagato is a very, very powerful ship. But very, very slow rate of fire and very slow amount of accuracy. So I'm just going to sort of stay within 10 kilometers away. We are doing some minor damage, nothing substantial at the moment. He does have 65,000 health. He has taken a torpedo hit from our ally, and we can't really fire our torpedoes at this range yet. It's sort of just outside our range. So we continue to fire down on this enemy. Now we are sort of losing the match in terms of capping, but we are actually winning in terms of kills and total capping score. So we continue to fire down this guy, 1,600. Any amount of damage helps. And now we're within range of torpedoes. So now we're going to lead the torpedoes, probably a couple of spread shots like this, just to assure that we hit him at least once. 8 kilometers we need on him. So if he sort of turns this way, then it's probably easier for us. Well, the torpedoes won't go out of range, but of course if he turns the other way, then torpedoes will go out of range. So we're going to continue firing down on this guy. I'm not sure where I'm going, but of course the amazing turning time of the ship can turn within sort of 3.5 second rudder shift time, and of course we missed the rock in no time. So I did do 2 spread salvos. He's turning this way a bit, so I don't know if he's going to miss them or not. But we're going to continue firing. We're going to help the Sims. The Sims is a bit too close to the Destroyer. Now we're sort of getting a bit close as well. Sort of around 5 kilometers, a bit too close to a Destroyer. And the torpedoes are going to go in now. 1, yes, got him. Okay, got a Tier 7 Nagato battleship and a Tier 7 Pensacola ship also. So we're 45 seconds away from our smoke, so we are in a bit of trouble here against Miyogi Tier 4. Yes, it's a bit lesser powered than the Nagato, but still, Broadside can very easily kill me. Yeah, 1 or 2 shots and I'm dead. So the torpedoes are back online, but I want to wait for the Miyogi to come into range. There he is. Okay, going to do a couple of spread shots again. Probably actually a bit closer this time. 1 close and 1 spread, just to hopefully ensure that we actually get some damage on this guy. 10 seconds away from now from the smoke, and now we're going to get away. Oh, turning time, reducing speed. Okay, increase speed, and then smoke in 2 seconds. Smoke down. Okay, we have avoided most of the potential fire there. Now we're getting away with our speed. I have noticed on this ship a lot of people focus down your rudder, and it's very easy for your engine to break. So 14 seconds left until next torpedoes. We're doing some more damage on this guy, but we have to get away from his sort of his secondary armament. His secondary armament will come on us too. He has his main guns firing at us too, so we have to keep away. Now our damage sort of is very minor. Okay, we've got the torpedoes are now online, but there is a rock there. I have to avoid the rock. Kind of, yeah, so if I fire in a straight line here, they should hopefully hit it. So 1 spread and 1 close, the same as before. The Sims is assisting from the side over there. We are actually winning the match quite considerably now. We are winning by quite a large margin. The enemy is being very easily destroyed here. I did 2 spreads of torpedoes. They should be coming within range of this guy now. Hopefully he doesn't die before he actually gets hit by them. We do have a battleship sort of pummeling him from the left-hand side there. Critically damaged. I did knock out one of his guns. The torpedoes are coming in now, and they're coming in and they're going to damage him. Hopefully finish him off. And we got him. So we've got 3 ships. We've got a Tier 4 Miyogi class battleship. We've got a Pensacola Tier 7 class cruiser. The Nagato Tier 7 Japanese battleship. So we're doing very well so far. 3 kills. I'm running a Tier 5 ship. We're the only Tier 5 ship in the whole match. But now we have to be very careful about the range. We're coming close to the Pensacola, and the Pensacola has a very, very powerful broadside. But our torpedoes are back in action. 2,000 health left. We have to sort of use these intelligently. We can't by any means allow him to do any more, so we're going to turn very sharply, hopefully avoid the shots. We did this time, but he's going to get his secondary guns on me very soon if I stay sort of this distance. I'm going to try and get the back guns to fire on him while I do my tactical retreat. Only 50 seconds away from actually getting away from this guy, and he is one of only 2 or 3 ships left on the enemy's team. Very, very close. Are we going to get him with 1? No, he's avoiding very, very well. So 35 seconds for both torpedoes and the smoke screen, so we can't really get away. Turning time of the guns is very slow here, so it's kind of hard to maneuver left and right. And that's a shame. We actually died there, but it doesn't matter. We got 3 kills, which is almost unheard of in this game so far. Usually this would have tier sort of 3-4 match, but we're in a tier 7 match and we get 2 tier 7 kills and 1 tier 4 kill, which is very good. Now we should win this match. I'm going to follow the probably the USS Sims, because the USS Sims is very similar in competency and ability to the Gremyashchiy. So the Gremyashchiy is actually a very good ship overall. In my opinion, it's definitely one of the best ships in the game, tier for tier. It seems the Pensacola is going down. Not quite yet. So the Gremyashchiy and the USS Sims and the other I think it's the Nubari class. They all can be purchased now again on the store, but of course they're without the reduction, the 15% reduction which was on offer. Just one ship left to go. We have the carrier, and then it's a game over. So in this match we did quite a lot of damage. Wow, okay, considering we're in a tier 5 premium ship, premium ships being, you know, in terms of wargaming games, not very powerful in comparison to their tier equivalent, we managed to get 2 tier 7 kills and 1 tier 4 kill, 66 hits, 2 torpedo hits, 2 critically damaged, 3 kills, 1 flooding, 3 citadel hits, and 4 defending of the base. Nearly 240,000 credits, 2,600 base experience, that's not with the 1.5 times bonus, and 129 free experience. So in terms of experience in the team, we came second after the Pensacola tier 7 ship. He got the same amount of kills and he got 10 planes also. So this is a tier 5 ship in a tier 7 game, and it still managed to get 3 kills and second highest in experience. In terms of damage, we did around 50,000 damage. And yeah, just a brilliant ship overall. I think it is, the Gremyashchiy is easily one of the best tier for tier ships in the game. So I really recommend it. Yeah, so this has been the tier 5 Russian destroyer, the Gremyashchiy. Now I hope I pronounced that correctly. Sorry if any Russian people watching this are offended, but I tried my best. So really, really good ship overall. I really, really recommend this. I'll post it in the in like description below, just so you guys can have a look if you haven't purchased it already. And with my other video I uploaded today, in fact, closed beta access is now available with purchasing a premium ship. So if you purchase a premium ship, you also buy access to closed beta for a limited time. So I recommend buying this ship or the USS Sims. In my opinion, the USS Sims is a far better ship than this in almost every respect. But the Gremyashchiy is probably one of the best ships, tier for tier, in the game. Thoroughly good buy. I've had about 15 games with this ship so far. A very, very fun ship to play. And most of them being sort of 3 to 4 kill games in high tier games. So this has been the Gremyashchiy. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.